Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tejano Traveler. I'm your host Wally, and today we are deep into the southernmost tip of Texas in Brownsville to take a look at some South Texas battlefields. Our first stop is Palo Alto National Battlefield, which commemorates the May 8th, 1846 battle between the United States forces and Mexico in the first official battle of the Mexican-American War. As you can hear, it's really windy, it's really flat, and all around you, all you see are grasses, which I love grasses, cactus, and small plants. If you come here, you'll get to see some of the cannons and see where things were aligned. And apparently what they did is they would line up all neatly on one side and then the other side, and then they would shoot at each other. How chivalrous. Also, this is the only shade out there, so take advantage of it if you do get here. And like I said, it's windy, so be prepared for that. There is no shade, be prepared for that. There is no water around there unless you're at the visitor center, so be prepared for that. But there are awesome canyons that you can go to. Anyways, this was the first major conflict of the Mexican-American War. General Zachary Taylor, who eventually became president, was the commander, and he defeated the Mexican army, who retreated at the end of the day. And that leads us to Resaca de la Palma battlefield, which is a battle that took place a couple miles south of Palo Alto on the following day in 1846. They continued battling here, and this is where the United States finally eventually won, almost capturing the Mexican general who retreated. Now it's called Resaca del Palma because this is an old oxbow lake that the Rio Grande left behind as it meanders through the Rio Grande Valley. When you come here, it's equally as windy, but you get to check out some of the native flora and fauna that is still around. There's a little walking, hiking trail that goes around the battleground where you can get to learn about some of the positions, some of the history behind the battle, some of what happened. And this is where the United States gained their first victory over the Mexican side. And eventually they would go on to invade Mexico and reach all the way to Mexico City, and then we ended up keeping Texas and Utah, Nevada, California, Arizona, New Mexico, and parts of Wyoming. It's awesome, isn't it? Learn a lot of history. And there's benches where you can sit down, so it's pretty cool. But it's nice that they're trying to keep it as native as possible so you can see what it was actually like to fight in these conditions, fight in the heat, fight with all the grasses and shrubs and everything. And this is where they would go in and start knife fights and all that cool one-on-one battle stuff that occurred during this war. And there's a pretty cool little tree where you can finally just sit down and rest. And it's right along a major highway, so be prepared for that. But yes, those are the two battles in Brownsville that are attributed to the Mexican-American War. And then heading over to my next battlefield, I got lost. The GPS kept sending me in all different places, all around the tiniest little tip of South Texas, right as it empties out into the Gulf of Mexico, and right where it separates between Texas and Mexico. And I drove around looking for Palmito Ranch battlefield, and I could not find it, and the GPS kept sending me here and there and everywhere, and I was lost and frustrated. And 45 minutes later I realized, hey, it's actually that spot where I first turned. So make sure the GPS doesn't take you anywhere. It's right off the Boca Chica Highway. It's the first little parking lot that you see. You get there, you get to see the historical marker, you get to read some of the history behind it, and you get to find out that this was the final battle of the American Civil War, which occurred May 12th and 13th in 1865. Okay, the Confederate forces had already surrendered, up in the north a month earlier, but either they didn't get wind of what actually happened, or some people say since they didn't fight, they wanted a little bit of the glory of the battlefield, so the Union forces and the Confederate forces decided to fight here in this battlefield with all these prickly pear cactuses and spiny things and mesquites and this wonderful swampy territory right at the tip of Texas. They ended up fighting, and the Confederates won. So even though the Confederates lost the war, they won the battle. I don't know. That's history for you. But definitely come check it out. It's always cool to see old battlefields and realize that big, huge, important events took place here. And those are your 3 Texas battlefields in South Texas. So come check it out, especially if you love history, like I love history. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.